What's up, everyone? Let's take a look at some of the standouts from the second day of workouts here in Indianapolis at the National Scouting Combine. We will start with the cornerback position. A bunch of the top names did not run with the 40-yard dash. A couple of them opted out of the position drills as well. I would say real quick from the position drills, the guys that didn't run but then worked out, one of the big names, Avieon Terrell, looked awesome. He didn't finish the workout. It looks like he got dinged up towards the latter stages, but the first two-thirds of the workout, he was one of the best corners in attendance. He's actually my number one corner right now at this stage of the process, so I was happy to see that from Avieon Terrell. But in terms of the guys that also went through the battery of tests, I got to start with San Diego State corner Chris Johnson. He ended up going in the low 4.4s for a guy that's got production, pretty good film across the board, went down to the Senior Bowl, had a solid week down there in Mobile. So of the guys from the lower level of competition, I would say Chris Johnson, and then Stephen F. Austin corner Charles Demings, who was 6'1", 4.41, jumped out of the gym. So a really good combination of height, length, speed there from Charles Demings. I'm going to be honest, when you get into day three in this class, not a lot of really traitsy corners with the size and the length. So I think that's going to really help Charles Demings in terms of kind of pushing him up the board just because of the scarcity of prospects like him, developmental players with that kind of height, weight, speed combination. Some other names to talk about, Dalen Everett from Georgia. Outperformed expectations. 6'1", goes 4.38. That's a really good time there for Dalen Everett, who's played a lot of ball for the Georgia Bulldogs. One player that really impressed me as well, Ephesians Prysock from Washington. 6'3.5", 33.5-inch arms. 4.45 in the 40-yard dash. And I'll be honest, of the bigger corners that I watched going through the field drills, he was my favorite. Yeah, this is a guy that looked really easy with his change of direction. I thought the ease of movement really stood out, especially for a guy 6'3.5", 33.5-inch long arms. That's height, weight, length, and speed that you can really get excited about with the combination there. Julian Neal from Arkansas, I think, also fits that bill. Bigger, longer corner who moves pretty well. Looks a little tight at times in the position workout, but overall, I thought it was a good workout for Neal. Now, of the three groups that went on Friday on the turf at Lucas Oil Stadium, I actually thought the cornerback group was maybe the weakest of the three because the safety group was outstanding. And the tight end group, we'll get to it in a little bit as well. But in terms of the safeties, we all saw Lorenzo Styles, Sonny Styles' older brother, who was a safety behind his career at Notre Dame, transferred to Ohio State. Smaller side for a safety, but he goes 4.28 in the 40-yard dash. So the bloodlines there with the Styles family showing up strong there for the combine. He goes 4.28. Both Arizona safeties, actually, honestly, all three Arizona safeties had a good night on Friday. We'll start with Trayden Stukes, corner who's played some nickel. When I watched him, I had questions about the speed. I said, I think he's going to have to be with the safeties, and he ended up working out with the safeties here, obviously. He goes 4.3 and jumped out of the gym. Was not expecting that. Now didn't go through the field workout, but I thought that in terms of athletic testing, didn't go through shuttles, but all the straight line stuff really good for Trey Stukes. Then you go to Dalton Johnson, who's actually my favorite of the three Arizona safeties. Smaller, compact frame. From Eagles fan standpoint, he's kind of built like former Eagles starting safety Kurt Coleman. He's a little bit smaller, but I thought he was really impressive, really efficient with his movements, good, easy change of direction, had a good workout positionally, but then also tested a lot better than I thought because I didn't see a great athlete on tape. So he tested really well. And just talking with some scouts, it was all the Arizona kids kind of outperformed the expectations there. So good on the Wildcats. And I should also mention Genesis Smith, who he was billed as the good athlete of the group. He ended up testing pretty well, but then from the field position workout as well, did a really good job for a bigger safety, just got in and out of breaks really well, did a nice job overall. And honestly, again, the rest of that safety group really stood out. A few other names here. Robert Spears Jennings from Oklahoma. He goes 4.3 for a bigger safety. Really impressive. That was a guy that he's got explosive traits, but I thought he was a little bit tight when I watched him on film, kind of a traditional strong safety type. I thought that he had a really good workout, did a nice job in the position drills as well. I thought he showed really good hands, just looked like a natural athlete. And then we get into some of the bigger names. One of my guys, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, a top 20 player for me out of Toledo, Kenyon Mitchell's former teammate. When you look at McNeil-Warren, he's a bigger, longer safety. I thought he was a little tight, maybe a little unsure of himself early on, but then he really settled in. I thought he had some really nice plays on the ball, did a nice job overall by the end of the workout. Then you get to A.J. Halsey from LSU, who to me is in that top group of safeties. I think there's a clear pecking order of the top four, and then it's kind of everybody else. Halsey's in that top four for me. When you look at, obviously, Caleb Downs, Dylan Thieneman from Oregon, I just mentioned Emmanuel McNeil-Warren from Toledo. I think Halsey's in that top four. And when you look at Halsey, he's been productive all three stops he's been in college. He started at New Mexico State, moved on to Houston, went to LSU this year. He's been productive on the ball. He's big. He's rocked up. He's got a really muscular upper body. So you look at him and you're like, oh, he might be a little bit robotic in his movements. He might be a little bit tight. I thought he had one of the best position workouts with this class, and he ran pretty well as well. So I think when you look at A.J. Halsey, I thought he checked all the boxes and surpassed expectations in a lot of ways from a movement standpoint. And then I want to also talk about Bud Clark from TCU. One of my favorite quotes when we spoke to him on Thursday, said he's fluent in trash talk, and I know Eagles fans had fun with that one, reminiscent of C.J. Gardner-Johnson in that way. Bud Clark had a great week at the Senior Bowl. He's been productive over the last few years. Sixth-year senior, a little bit older, a little bit more compact, but I thought he had a good position workout as well. So Bud Clark, I would be remiss if I did not bring him up as well in this conversation. And then let's go lastly to the tight end position. This was a really clean workout throughout. I mean, it's a record number of tight ends here in Indianapolis at the Combine. I went back like 2 decades, couldn't find a year where they had 29 players at the position in attendance. And again, it was just really clean. Not a lot of balls on the ground. Are there a ton of first round picks, top 50 picks? No, but it's just a really, really good deep group. And I think we'll start. Let's start at the top. Kenyon Sadiq, who did something we haven't seen at the position. He goes 4.39 officially in the 40-yard dash, reminiscent of Vernon Davis. I know that was the comparison they made on the broadcast. But the thing is I think he's a better blocker than Vernon Davis was as well. So really a guy that can be the total package. He's a top 12 player for me. I don't anticipate that changing throughout the course of the process. So he only went through the 40 and he did the jumps. He jumped out of the gym. He did exactly what Sonny Styles did, 43.5 inches in the vertical leap for Kenyon Sadiq. Now, not to be outdone, he got followed up by Eli Stowers, who was a couple players after him in the pecking order in the vertical jump. Stowers goes 45.5 inches in the vertical jump. So just phenomenal stuff from the Vanderbilt tight end who began his career as a quarterback at Texas A&M, then went to New Mexico State, played there with Diego Pavia, moved to tight end, and then followed Pavia to Vanderbilt. Older player, 6th-year senior, but you kind of get why he would be in college a little bit longer after the position switch. A great athlete. Developmental blocker, not quite there yet, so that's why I've got some reservations there on Stowers, but there's no questioning certainly the athleticism. He put that on display. We did not see him go through positional work. Stowers did not go, neither did Kenyon Sadiq, but both guys proving their wares from an athleticism standpoint. As far as guys who went through the workout, again, really clean position workout. These were guys that impressed with the movement, the route running, and just not. I think of these names I'm bringing up, I think there was a combined 1 drop between the 5 names. Justin Jolie, converted high school wide receiver, began his career at UConn, goes to NC State. He has been the focal point of the passing game basically every step of the way, every single year in college. He has been one of the leading receivers on the team. He is an impact pass catcher, whether it's underneath and yards after catch, intermediate area of the field. He showed some verticality as well over the course of his career. Justin Jolie, he is a name to watch. I think he could go as early as day 2. Bauer Sharp is a guy I have not studied yet from LSU. Was not a focal point of the offense. But he can be moved around. I thought he showed some athleticism here. I thought he showed some heavy hands on the one blocking drill that they did. Again, it was 1 rep, so I'm not going to go overboard there. But caught everything and looked sharp in all of his movements. I didn't even mean to do that. But Bauer Sharp, he looked really, really good over the course of his workout. Couple of big body, you think of like a Mike Gesicki type of body type, like tall, long, work on the slot, jump balls, things like that. Tanner Kojal from Houston, who transferred in from Ball State and has been a touchdown maker throughout the course of his career. And then John Michael Gyllenhaal from Wyoming. Both guys similar kind of body types, is kind of like big, long slot guys. Both guys looked really, really sharp, had the ability to get down the field, showed some verticality, but then also, again, no balls on the ground for both players. I thought both guys looked really smooth in the workout. And then one last guy as like kind of a late round option, Jaron Kanik from Oklahoma. Tested well across the board. He's undersized, so he's kind of like a move type of player. To me, like you think, I think actually pretty sure my comp for him is Kylan Granson, who played for the Eagles this past year. He's that kind of body type, a little bit on the smaller side. You think like Trey Burton, like that kind of body type. Kanik began his career as a linebacker, played there his first 3 years at Oklahoma. Wasn't really getting much run, so they asked coaches if he could move over to the offensive side this past year, and it became a really good security blanket for quarterback John Mateer, and just showed okay, he can get after a little bit as a blocker. There's still some development there. He played on defense, so he's not afraid of contact, but it's a technique kind of standpoint there with Kanik. But I think there's some upside. Can definitely play special teams. Did that at a high level with the Sooners, and showed the ability to be an impactful pass catcher, and then showed the athleticism here on display in Indianapolis. So like I said, a really good tight end workout, a really good safety workout. The corners, a lot of the top guys didn't go, so we didn't get to see that at the entire depth of that class, but really good workout on Friday. It was a fun night on Thursday. I'm excited to see what else we have in store here on Saturday and Sunday. Make sure you check out the draft guide, become a diehard so you get access to that. All of my reports, all of my notes on every single player that is hitting the field here at Lucas Oil. It's all going to be there in the draft guide. So make sure you become a diehard, get access to that. Check us out on Monday on the PHLY Eagles show as well.